my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My main's been wet with the morning dew. I've been down on bended knee, talking to the man from stable 43. She spoke to me, voice so full of good, I thought I heard the shuffle of the angels' hooves. She called my name and my heart stood still when she said, "Pony, go and do my will. Go tell that lion, you traitor. Go and tell that evil raider. Tell the shambler, the gambler, the bit fighter. Tell him the angel's gonna cut him down. Tell him the angel's gonna cut him down. You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. You know the angel's gonna cut you down. Sooner or later she'll cut you down. You may throw your rock and hide your hand, working in the dark against your fellow mare. But sure as Celestia made day and night, what's down in the dark will be brought to the light. You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. You know the angel's gonna cut you down. Sooner or later she'll cut you down. Go tell that lion, you traitor. Go and tell that evil raider. Tell the shambler, the gambler, the bit biter. Tell him the angel's gonna cut him down. Tell him the angel's gonna cut him down. Tell him the angel's gonna cut him down. Cut him down. Tell him.
As fires burn out from yesterday, a wandering mare's found a better way. For just as night seems most dark, the sunrise comes to warm our hearts.
Through the ashes of war, through the blood and the gore, a man once more than this world that is torn. A fruit that cannot just be stopped or forgot will rise to overcome all odds. And with every new day, through the parts that we play, as we push fear away and remember the ways of a man who was kind and whose words we remind. To let
Hello, how's everybody doing? So what's the point of having a theme song if you're not going to use and abuse it? Anyway, hi, I'm here to do a panel today, aren't I? Yeah, that's right. The mythical lab coat that I normally wear is currently at the dry cleaners because someone, who will remain nameless, spilled French onion soup all over it. I'll have it tomorrow. We're picking it up this evening. To answer your initial questions, yes, that is Jesse singing, Jesse Nowacking. And yes, I own both of those songs. There is no chance of anyone getting a copyright strike. I do own all of the musical material. If I'm using music on Twitch and live stream, I own it. It's mine. I wrote the song. Jesse sang it. James Kelly did the musical orchestra for it. And Prop Master and Forest Rain did edits and additional changes to the lyrics. But yes, we own that music. Anyway, we're here to talk about the sociological and psychological problems of all of our pony friends. There's a whole lot of bat crazy on the screen right now, and none of them are bat ponies. You thought I was going to say something else. Your mind filled it in. I didn't actually say it. So let's get to talking. I am Fiaura the Tank Girl. This is my OC Sunrise. I also played Queen Quake for Babs for 4 years, almost 5. COVID percent happen says. Anyway, aside of Human Computer Night, now 10 years. I need to adjust all these panels. I'm getting old. Anyway, all these panels are a founding member of BabsCon Diamond Doodle's fault because she started asking me questions one day, fully realizing I would go thoroughly research said questions and figure them out. And the Fallout Equestria stuff we'll be talking about tomorrow, so I'll put that off till then. In the meantime, remember the following things. Everything that I present to you today is theory. Until proven otherwise by show writers or directors, this is all theory and perfectly open to interpretation. You may poke holes in theories and attempt to figure out better ones. I actually encourage this. In science, it's okay to be wrong. It just means we have to look for new answers. So, what's their psychological hang-ups, issues, subscriptions? Let's get started. Celestia is a high-functioning sociopath. Man, I forgot this panel started with making an outrageous claim, and then I have to prove it. Okay, well, let's prove it. So, what do we have? Let's take a look at some of the, you know, it would help. I swear. One of these days, I will alt-tab to the right spot the first time, and it will just work.
I'm sorry, Princess Celestia. I thought I could give you a break tonight, but it turns out I was in over my head.
You have nothing to apologize for. This has been the most fun gala in years.
What?
I know. It was a... What? But there was ooze all over the place, and one of the guests threatened to send somebody to another dimension.
I know. Can you imagine how dull it would have been if I hadn't invited Discord? Come on! The night is still young.
Okay, you're the ruler of a kingdom. You have to keep up appearances. Why would you invite the Master of Chaos to the event that's supposed to be this hoity-toity social event because you're bored? Why does she have Twilight write her letters? Why does she have so many students? She lives vicariously through her students. Celestia has grown old and tired, and as we can tell from human minds, people aren't really meant to live past, 50. They start to get crazy. And she's starting to have that point where she's like, I'm 1,000 years old. Yeah, nothing's a big deal anymore. And she's always a little too happy when things should be horrific. Remember, this is a 1,000-year-old ruler.
Hello, Princess.
So lovely to see you again, as well as your friends.
She should know what these things are.
So, how was the trip? Hit much traffic?
What is this?
She's 1,000 years old, right?
These creatures are adorable.
They're not that adorable.
I'm terribly honored that you and the good citizens of Ponyville have organized a parade in honor of my visit.
Parade? Oh, yes, the parade!
Unfortunately, that visit is going to have to wait for another time. I'm afraid an emergency has come up.
She is way too happy about there being an emergency.
There's been some sort of infestation.
She's delivering terrible news about an infestation with a smile on her face. She acts like her sister's betrayal and attempted murder by her of her sister is just no big deal. It's fine. This is fine. This is normal. Why does Also, you notice how Twilight is legitimately, like, seems terrified of her. Why is everyone terrified of her? I'm dead serious. I just have this unholy image of her waking up one morning, going out, starting to eat her breakfast, and going, "This isn't Eggs Benedict. Off with the chef's head." And she literally meant cut his head off. And why does she torture her students? Other than to see them reacting and then pretend it's no big deal.
My dearest, most faithful student.
This is
Twilight.
the opening
You
line
know
we
that
get
I
from
value your
Celestia.
diligence and that I trust you completely. But you simply must stop reading those dusty old books.
She knows that her sister's coming back and breaking out of jail. And then tells her student, it's no big deal. What? Unless you have the emotional capacity of an insane sociopath, this should be a pretty big deal. But it's not. Lastly, the reason why... the reason why I think that she's a high-functioning sociopath is she's only ever cried twice in canon. When she imprisoned her sister and when her sister came back. The entire rest of the show, every time that she's appeared, she never cries. Things can be the absolute worst, awful, potentially mind-numbingly end of the world. Doesn't shed a tear. Yeah, Celestia's a straight-up troll. Luna has a guilt complex that would cause most people to commit suicide. So for a start, Luna has to experience everyone's dreams. I don't want anyone to know what my dreams are. I'm reluctant to tell my therapist what I dream about. You think I want someone who literally probes into my head and sees that every night? God. Now imagine seeing everyone's. Every night. All the time. I mean, you have the perfect propaganda machine because you know everyone's worst nightmares and worst fears, but at the same time, oh boy, I don't want to know what some ponies dream of at all.
I created the Tandibus to give myself the same nightmare every night. To punish myself for the evil I caused.
Who wants the same nightmare every night?
Why would you do that?
To make sure I never forgave myself for how much Equestria suffered because of me. But it seems I have not learned my lesson. For now I have only made you suffer more.
But that means you might just be the key to stopping all this. Yeah! If it gets
So,
strong
solitary
enough,
confinement for
you'll
1,000 years,
never
which we know, like,
down.
6 months of solitary confinement causes permanent psychological scarring.
I am no better now than I was
We're
then.
looking at
My creation is about to turn the world into a living
a guilt
nightmare.
complex that requires her to have the same nightmare every single night. We're looking at creating a literal creature that is the embodiment of nightmares themselves that can break into the world and proceed to destroy the world. And, oh yeah, she doesn't talk to anybody about it. Does Equestria have a suicide watch? I'm just checking. Because I feel like if they did, Luna would always be at the top of the list. Like, there's a guilt complex, and then there's Luna. There's feeling bad about something and always trying to make up for it, and then there's Luna, who, like... Okay, I've read about some masochists in my life. I've done case studies on people who have guilt complexes, who are masochists. I've never seen anything quite like this. Like, there's a certain level of just, whoa, you need to get some help, maybe, soonish. Please, Luna. And this is categorically the type of damage you would expect someone to have after being put in solitary confinement. Yeah, this is equivalent of self-harm. Cadence suffers from lost loved one. Unrequited. This is an interesting concept that some of you might also identify with. So, let's take a look at the clip. Now, this is something I have to point out. She's completely exhausted herself. I'm pausing here before we finish the clip. She's completely exhausted herself. She has pushed herself to the point of what would be considered hospitalization by exhaustion. Like, this is a thing you can do. It's the same thing as if you stayed awake for 72 hours straight and didn't bother to drink water. You need to go to the hospital. Because you need fluids and you need a sedative now, or your heart's going to explode. And yet she does the following.
Behold, the Crystal Princess!
Now,
The crystal heart has returned. Use the light and love within you to ensure that King Sombra does not.
Now, when through acts of either love or adrenaline, you can do things that are superhuman. And a good example is someone flipping a car to save someone's life. That's entirely possible. However, most of this comes from the idea where losing something is too hard to think about, so you do everything in your power to avoid it. And when you're the princess of love, part of love and human communication and relationships is understanding that all relationships have a finite endpoint. This is actually my field of study. Every single relationship has a point at which it stops. In order to fully understand the concept of love, you have to understand that with loving relationships, that endpoint might be death. And then we go on to see, we never find out anything about Cadence's parents. They don't show up to her wedding. They're not in her castle. And she is supposedly Celestia's first successful student. Where did she come from? Oh, I'm dead serious. Where did she come from? I also noticed this was a uniquely strange image. I'll wait for you to figure out what's uniquely strange about it. This is from an episode, by the way. This is from the opening episode for Season 2. But what's uniquely strange about it to me is she is not much bigger than Twilight. She's definitely not a full-sized pony yet she already has the alicorn wings and the horn and the cutie mark, and it makes me question, What happened? Because Twilight didn't get all of her craziness until the end of season 3, and she had to go through quite an ordeal to get that. So, what happened? People who suffer from lost loved one, which is a type of psychological disorder in which you don't ever requint or make peace with the fact that someone is that you lost someone, have a few things about them. One, they're unwilling to let any other relationship die. Two, they are willing to go out of their way to cause additional self-harm to themselves at the basically harm at the expense of self for others to the point at which it's unhealthy. And three, they often display what can only be described as feelings of counselorship, where they are the counselors for everyone else. Hi, Pot. This is Kettle. You're black. In the meantime, this is something she's going through constantly, and I really have to ask, who died? And how? In order to get her to this point. So that's a good question there, Mike Romero, but I have an interesting answer, but that's an entirely different panel. So how well adjusted is Cadence? Alicorns aren't born the state by Celestia when she first sees Flurry Heart. Cadence clearly has gone out of her way to make others happy to the point she sacrificed everything. We know this because of how Twilight became an Alicorn. She's willing to risk it all and potentially sacrifice for her friends. Point is, Cadence represents a symbol of love, but in order to represent that symbol of love, she had to lose someone. And now she wants no one else to suffer the same fate. Okay. Twilight has OCD and permanently debilitated self-esteem. I mean,
Get a clear shot.
do I have to, you know, prove this point?
Nope.
Oh, what have I done?
Do I really have to keep going with this point?
Twilight, you've got to listen to me. Who are you? I mean, you're me, but I'm me too. How can there be two me's? It's not scientifically possible. You are not scientifically possible. Twilight, please. I have a very important message for you from the future.
Okay, so everything has to be nice, neat, and orderly. Everything has to be explained by science. She's easily distracted in doing tasks that require loads of little details. She has a list for everything. Despite all of her accomplishments, she always is in self-doubt. One of the clear signs of debilitated self-esteem is you can have all of the accomplishments and praise in the world, yet you always question whether or not you're worthy. And then you always question if you can actually complete the next task. And I left this anecdote in here because this last anecdote in here because this panel has only ever been showed twice, and the first time was actually in December. I made this panel in 2017. It took till December 2020 for a convention to ask for it. And then I had 2 conventions in a row ask for it. Oh boy. Anyway, yes, the level of OCD that Twilight displays is unhealthy. And the mixture of that with debilitated self-esteem is one of the reasons why we basically have most of the arc that is presented by Discord for the final season. Go figure. So, I'm not going to talk about the pink pony in the room. Reason for the lack of Pinkie Pie. Every time I've tried to scientifically explain anything, there's always the rule of accept Pinkie Pie. It's like the rule of accept Batman or accept Deadpool. Her psychological problems are solved in the Pinkie Pie panel that I have completely separate from this. And I don't have 3 hours to psychoanalyze Pinkie Pie by herself. It's a different panel. I can put it up here. I actually have a link. On YouTube. You can go watch that instead. But it does actually go through the entire effort of quantifying and qualifying the pink. Moving on. Rainbow Dash has the spotlight effect. Yes, I made the 20% more joke as a, reference, but that's beside the point. Spotlight effect is defined as someone who requires themselves to be the center of attention, and when they're not the center of attention, they seek out ways to achieve being the center of attention, but do so in such a way that the center of attention they're seeking is a positive one instead of a negative one. And she always has to be the center of attention.
I hope this works.
She is a Wonderbolt. The best flyers in Equestria. She already is the center of attention. Why does she have to be the super center of attention? She wanted this to be a positive thing, by the way. She didn't plan for it to go that way, but she has to seek out to achieve above everyone else to be the center of attention, even when she's already the center of attention. But because she's the center of attention in a group, she has to be the even more than the others center of attention. Part of this is her family upbringing, where her parents always showered her with attention and always gave her the encouragement without giving her any of the negative feedback that is required to temper one's expectations. Another wonderful example of this is this.
I'll just have to stop winter!
I'm sorry. Did you just say that you were going to stop an entire climate weather event in the form of a 3.5-month season by yourself? What? This is an issue that can only be handled with actually someone sitting down, giving her negative feedback, and then explaining to her that it's okay that that feedback is there because no one expects you to be perfect. And then further explaining to her that she has already achieved the thing she wanted. There's no sense in continuing to be an overachiever. Applejack is a workaholic with PTSD, and this is actually an image from the show. So, she believes she has to work harder and more than her siblings. Let's get this started. This is from Season 1, Episode 4, Applebuck Season, where she decides that despite the fact that it should be physically impossible for someone to do everything, when someone tells her it's impossible, she goes, no, I will complete this by spite purposes. Applejack's parents are gone. We'd never find out how, but we know that they're gone from a young age. We know that Apple Bloom doesn't remember them. Which inspired a wonderful song by Magpie Pony that if you want to go have a nice little cry session, go ahead and look up hold on, what's the name of the song? Yeah, here it is. Go ahead and look up I Dream of You by Magpie Pony if you want to have a nice little cry session. She has PTSD from her parents' death, and her reaction to this disorder is work.
Good morning, Applejack. You ready?
And if she doesn't achieve her goal, she's ashamed.
No, Pony breaks a pinky promise.
So her two responses to her PTSD problem is work and flight.
Applejack!
And there's nothing in between. Also, Pinkie Pie is utterly a psycho for various reasons.
She's gonna get away! Oh no, she won't. Look, girls.
She is so determined to prove her worth that she's willing to put people's lives at risk in a high-speed wagon chase that results in a wagon going careening off a cliff and potentially someone dying. This is also a common problem with orphans who've lost their parents in traumatic ways. Is to make up for their parents not being there to see their accomplishments, they have to make everyone else see their accomplishments. It's a very common way for people who have PTSD to get past their PTSD is when you're having a PTSD problem and you recognize you're having it, your response is to work. It's very common for workaholics to have PTSD. This is really Fiaura pot calling kettle black all day. That's what intonation I'm talking about, but that's beside the point. And she's lost the ability to relax. She's lost the ability to just say, I'm taking the day off. And it takes a friendship problem to solve that. Rarity's OCD can kill her. Again, every one of these images is images from the show. I'm not even going and getting fan art. They made this far too easy for me. That is a reactionary form of it. Yes, Shyfire. PTSD has a variety of symptoms. The first thing with PTSD is you have something that reminds you of an event. The example of this with Applejack is she's wearing her dad's hat. She reminds herself of that traumatic event every single day when she wakes up and puts her hat on. I want you to think about how much of a self-punishment that is. But your reaction to the memory of the traumatic event can be a variety of things. The most common one is to go do something to get your mind off of it, which is usually something constructive, such as working, doing housework, a building project, doing actual paid work, that kind of thing. Your second most common response is a fight response. This is the reaction of, I have to defend myself because my life depends on it. Response that some people get. And your last response is always a flight response. Get away from the situation as fast as possible, even if it means others get hurt in the process of you getting away from the situation. Those are the three possible responses for a PTSD, for something that reminds you of a PTSD event. In the meantime, Rarity's OCD can kill her. Okay. So, Rarity is a worker savant. She has a work ethic and doesn't procrastinate about anything. But when mixed with perfectionism and OCD, you put people's lives at risk for the sake of work. In addition to some pretty extreme vanity. You are falling to your death. What? This is not the time to check your eyeliner, honey. I'm just saying. Rarity goes to see dragons, diamond dogs, and other potentially lethal creatures, all in the name of fashion. She has been known to hurt herself, go without sleep, and even harm others in the name of her craft. And her OCD is absolutely beyond reason.
Ahead. See your little show. Congratulations, fillies. Sounds like you've all figured out already it's every pony for herself in this town.
There. That's the last of them.
Finally.
You're welcome!
She has a singular focus, and it's on the task at hand. This is why dragons can threaten her, diamond dogs can enslave her, and yet her focus remains unchanged. Her level of OCD makes Twilight's OCD look like a normal everyday occurrence. Perfectionism, OCD, and a savant level work ethic are a lethal combination. This is how insane mathematical geniuses get hit by a car. I want to just let that sink in for a moment. Fluttershy is an earth pony with wings and wants to be a tree. She literally forgets she has wings. What? What? You have wings, honey. You have wings. What? She interacts with mostly non-flying creatures. Why is the Pegasus the one who normally controls the weather, and the Earth the Druid, and not the Earth Pony who grows crops all year? She also, on several occasions, says, "I wish I was a tree," and dresses like a tree to avoid social interactions.
Oh. You too, Fluttershy.
I mean, I've heard of fursuits, but who has a tree suit? I mean, it even makes the realistic popping noise that trees with pre-dug holes have. Like, and then she dresses as a tree on 3 separate occasions in the show, and I have no idea how many times in the comics, because I didn't bother counting that. I just got used to it at a certain point. Also, is she able to talk to trees? Are trees in Equestria sentient? She has a tree soda! Exactly, Waffles! All of this on top of crippling social anxiety. So, how do they deal with all of these crippling issues of depression, guilt complexes, lost loved one issues, spotlight effect, OCD, PTSD? Need I go on? Okay, yeah, right. Let's stop going on the negative things. Social network, friendship, literally. The way we are taught to psychologically counsel couples in particular in human communication is having a network outside of just the two of you is how you solve problems. One person cannot meet all of your needs. It takes a village of between 10 and 30 for you to be able to have everything that you need in a social network to be met. And they seem to understand this, and they create a multi-layered support network. You'll notice the show does a lot of hugging and has absolutely no issue with two individuals sleeping in the same bed. It's because hugs and cuddles literally kill depression. It by hugging someone or cuddling them, it literally causes you to produce endorphins from the effect of just touch, which kills depression, literally. They focus on work a lot, but they also have their friends to pull them out of said work to take care of each other. The Fluttershy Zakora episode about self-care is a whole other can of worms that I don't want to open right now because it's done so horribly wrong that I want to beat a person over the head, whoever wrote that. But in the meantime, but they actually have their friends pull them out of work and make them, relax eventually. They have life goals. Part of dealing with psychological problems is setting short and long-term goals. You set a long-term goal, and then you set the short-term goals of how to get to the long-term goal. And they don't turn away or veer off when things get hard. When things get hard, they go back to their support network. When they fall back into their old issues, they go to their support network. This is how you deal with your psychological issues. There are other ways. I'd like to hear some that you know of. But yeah. Questions time. Okay, I'm going to post this in... I forgot that when I hit escape, it actually closes the whole thing. I'm going to post this entire slide here into here. This is all of the links to everything that I do. Shotgun Angel Productions is the channel that produces my audiobook and music. It's an officially licensed business at this point. That is also my YouTube. If you have a question you don't want to ask out loud, there's my email address. There's the link for my live streams in my store. Further, webcam only, please, and remove the stream elements. Thank you. This is your chance to ask me questions directly. I'm looking at both the Van Hoover Discord and my Discord for any other questions that I seem to have missed. But in the meantime, ask away. I've got 9 minutes. Hey, not bad for someone who started 2 minutes late. Just had to rush through a couple pieces. Tell me if you can figure out which ones I rushed.
Welcome to the army of Fiaura.
Oh, I agree. Macau? I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I apologize for that. I miss my wife. She's in England, and England has basically had a ban on American travelers since April. So I haven't even been able to go see her at all. What do you think deals the best with their troubles? Their other friends in their support network are outfitted better to deal with their own problems than they are. Who is my favorite canon pony? Redmond, that is a loaded question that gets people shot. That's terrible, Fisher. That's terrible. Anyway, I do have a store here. It's down below in hashtag Fiaura the Tank Girl. That not only supports stuff like my audiobook and the music we produce, which we're currently working on 2 new songs, a new audiobook chapter, and I'm looking for audio engineers. If you know someone or are someone who knows what they're doing with audio editing and can do things like mastering and audio editing, great. We have a paying job. Yes, all of my voice actors are paid in cold hard cash. They can have warm soft cash if they want. I'll iron it first. But that pays for those things. It also pays for me to get research books and access to information for panels like this. So if you want to support me, there it is. Tonight I will be streaming Dungeons & Dragons. I am also a developer on Equestria at War, which is a Hearts of Iron 4 mod. I'm one of the writers, and I'm also one of the testers. I can say we are currently, one of the big things we're currently working on is an entire rework of the Navy, which I am one of the lead testers and advisors for. But I'm one of the writers. That's what I do over there. I also we'll talk about my writing tomorrow at the Fallout Equestria panel, in which I'll also have voice actors from the fandom. In the meantime, I think my time is about up. I have a variety of reasons for not liking Rarity. They decided to lock the Twitch chat instead of letting people. Let me see. They want you to use their Discord, which I want to get onto these conventions about one thing. Set some Twitch mods and let people talk in the Twitch chat, because it encourages randoms to come by and check out what's going on, because they can't talk to the presenter if there's nothing. If they can't type in chat, and a lot of times that the randoms who aren't a part of your convention Discord will just leave because they don't know what's going on. I highly suggest that you guys enable Twitch chat and it not require a follower or anything. Just put a couple of people whose job it is to monitor it and move on. Being someone who streams all the time, like we're going to be doing D&D tonight, and I have more panels tomorrow along with the Star Wars RPG, and Sunday I have an Equestria at War open stream type thing. Being a person who streams all the time, that's how I do it.